And yeah, I like to fence. And go up against like some of the best in the world.
Hits, but I didn't feel unsafe fighting. My name is Alanna Wendt. I came from On Guard Fencing in Santa Rosa, California, USA. The erg instructor for our club.
My name is Chandler Brown. I'm from On Guard Fencing. I'm more or less an assistant instructor and a senior student. And yeah, I like to fence.
Have you been to other European tournaments before?
No, this is my first European tournament.
This is my first European tournament. I've watched a lot of European tournaments, so I get the gist of them generally, but this is my first time like fully experiencing it and getting in the ring in Europe, and it was amazing.
Yeah.
2 rounds of pools.
Yeah.
You were in women's nominations, you were in advanced. So how did it feel? Let's start with women.
The women's. It was some of the most, I was telling my clubmates, some of the most intricate blade work that I have seen at tournaments. It was very impressive fighting. The pool lengths felt like the correct amount of time. I wasn't overly gassed, but also I still had plenty of energy to go into the next pool and advance forward, which is very exciting.
So I loved the match format. I think the matches were like the perfect length. They were long and they gave you time to adapt and work through multiple different narratives of like establishing the overall like, you know, story of the match, you know. The double pools were great too. I love 2 rounds of pools. I love just fighting more. It definitely wears down on your stamina, but you know, it's a tournament, you know, it's got to be that way. So I found it, I loved it. So.
What can you say about the level of competitions present in the tournament?
It was definitely some of the best I've ever seen. This was like world-class level, and it was awesome to be a part of it and go up against like some of the best in the world. The technique being shown, along with the speed and you know I guess the willpower of a lot of these fencers was incredible. I loved it. So.
We in BOHEMA are trying to promote the quality of the strike standard. People are worried that it can be too brutal. What did you think?
Compared to American standards, it was some of the harder hits, but I didn't feel unsafe fighting. It was, I think, it was good strength, good structure in the strikes, which lends itself to maybe harder strikes, but definitely not something where I felt unsafe.
Yeah, I'm kind of a bit of an adrenaline junkie in some ways, and I like going hard, so some of the heavy stuff in advanced just kind of like made me amped up in a way. I enjoyed it, but I can't speak for everyone. To be objective as possible, not everyone had as good of an experience as I did. A lot of people didn't want, well, not maybe a lot, but a couple people I talked to maybe didn't really want to continue with it going as hard as they were. But that's not to say that the fencing was just completely crazy, because there were plenty of times where normal, like relatively light but not tippy-tappy cuts were being called, good controlled strikes were being awarded, and the best fencers got to the top. The best, most technical, controlled fencers ended up fencing the cleanest, and they got to the top. So it wasn't just a complete bludgeon fest. It wasn't just swing-offs all the time. Sometimes that happens, but it's fencing. You're trying to land your hits, and so your zerks might start flying a little bit faster. But I took one to the jaw that rattled my head for a while, and I ended up having to forfeit the match just due to medical time. But I was fine. I pushed through. I didn't have a concussion. I kept going, and my second round of pools was great. I did really well. I did really well in the limbs.
What do you feel about the judges that we have here?
The judging was mostly pretty sharp. There was just inconsistencies in quality. I think it's a little bit based off of the fact that the rules do want higher quality hits, but some of the judges were coming from different areas where they weren't accustomed to that rules. So there was variations and inconsistencies in quality of strikes where unfortunately you kind of had to deal with a lot of your hits getting called off because they weren't absolutely perfect, but hits against you were getting called when they were not as great. But it's judging. It's just that was the main thing. Hits were being seen well. The timing of afterblow and doubles was mostly good, but sometimes it was kind of tight. Sometimes the afterblow window was a little bit too tight, I think. It could have been longer. But yeah, the main thing keeping it from being very, very good was the quality of strikes and the inconsistencies. Because there were some light stuff, like really light stuff getting called that I didn't think would get called, but yeah.
What was different and what was the same when you compare it to fencing in the US and here?
It's different, but not like a crazy amount. It was it was definitely the hardest hitting I have seen, but not by a mile, I would say. And I think it's totally valid, honestly. If you want that, there is an authentic kind of desire for this tournament. There's a reason that I think the organizers want this tournament to be this way, and it is like a striving for full power and authenticity with what you're doing. The swords feel like real swords. They're weighted like real swords, but they do hit a little hard. So if you want that, it's wonderful. But if you don't, that's also fine too. That's just totally fine. So
I would say it definitely was I agree, some of the more heavy hits. In the United States, at least the tournaments that I have gone to have been calling a lot more of that tippy-tappy hits. But going into this tournament, you just have to acknowledge that that's the standard of course here. And like Chandler said, you acknowledge whether or not that's what you want to participate in. I didn't think anything was particularly egregious. I wasn't mortally wounded or anything. In terms of similarities, I think the overall caliber of fencers comparable to some that I've fought in the United States.
I guess if I were to talk about the skill difference between Europeans and Americans, it's really, really close. I do think the Europeans have the edge in it, like their advanced skills, because of how long they've been doing it relative to some Americans. They have a little, it seems that they have a little bit different training as well, and training can go a long way. So the Europeans maybe just slightly have an edge on us, but the Americans did really well. Americans can hold their own. It's great, I love it.
All right, thank you for your time and hope to see you again.